Speaking of, goofy names, I don't know if modernizing the times, I feel like Encyclopedia Brown's due for a comeback. Revitalize that, but he'll be Wikipedia Brown. Like, instead of just solving whatever shitty, stupid crimes the idiot police in the neighborhood couldn't solve, he just starts, he starts off, you're talking a bit, like, okay, it's not helium, whatever, and then suddenly you're, like, on Star Wars, and you're like, back on track, Wikipedia Brown, and then just mid-sentence, he's like, 9/11 was an inside job, and you're like, whoa, where did that come from? I don't know, source not found, and you're like, oh, gee, you know what, let me just Google this stupid case and get that solved. Small town, suburban, worthless police. Anyway, so yeah, if you've ever seen a group of hipsters around, they would be into that. I don't know if there's a term, I call them a whatever. It's just a whatever of hipsters going down the road on their hoverboards or whatever. So, I don't want to get too serious here, but racial profiling, it's not a good thing. First of all, every culture, every minority, they're all equally likely to pee in your Coke, as a joke. But J.J. Abrams actually tried to teach us all about this with those first 2 Star Trek reboot films. I don't know if you saw the first one. There were lens flares everywhere. Like, every friggin' scene, there's lens flares coming at you. Like, wow, these lens flares need to get a job. So then in the second one, he cut it way back. But this is confirmation bias. Like, there were much fewer, they were used better, but any time in that second movie you saw a lens flare, you're like, friggin' lens flares are everywhere, they're taking all of our jobs, we need to get rid of them. But the truth is that wasn't the case. It was minor, they were tastefully used, and they're hard workers. So, so there's that. Now before, I'm a nerd, you may have noticed, I love board games. Before the sort of board game revolution in, I want to say, like, the early 2000s, before anyone heard of Catan or Carcassonne or all of those things, I'd say the best we had was, like, Risk, and that was a shitty game, but we just didn't know any better. Basically, Milton Bradley was like the De Beers of board games. Like, everything you played was a blood board game. They weren't that good. There was other stuff out there, you just didn't know about it, and the cartels, kept you in the dark about the crime against fun you were committing by proxy. Okay, that was a little dark, I apologize. I've seemed funnier on paper. Now, I don't know, I have these, bursts of inspiration like that. One thing I thought would be a great product is houseware, but it's all patterned like it's barcode. So you can just scan anywhere, and you're like, boom, check it out. We don't need labels or stickers or whatever. And it would be stylistically neat. Now, granted, it would also be awful. It would probably cause eye strain. It would make your food look terrible. I don't know where I was going with this, but I thought maybe it were. So we're not going to tell that barcode joke again. Not sure how we led into that. But speaking of barcode,
oh no.
I do a lot of ordering on Amazon Prime. It's like one-click buy, it's done, it's out of mind. That doesn't really go well with insomnia. You wake up, you can't get back to sleep. I don't have my glasses on. In a nutshell, kerning, you can't read well. You run into issues with kerning, and bad kerning is really the reason I'm blaming my last shipment being a big tub of hand moisturizer and 2 boxes of palm fruit juice. Okay, did you get that? Normally there's a few steps to this joke. Yeah, you're like, what is that? Then you realize it, and then the background joke in your head is like, wait, Amazon sells boxes of porn? Like, you can click box of porn? So that's a freebie. You can enjoy that one. That's your own. Use your imagination. I don't know if you've heard the terrible joke about the people at the restaurant ordering H2O. Well, I think it would be funny if, 2 people are at a restaurant and one says, I'll have a CO, and the other says, I'll have a CO2. And they both die because their car is on and they're in their garage.
Bada bing.
Can't, isn't, aren't, pregnant pause, contractions, funny punchline, birth. Okay. Just an observation. Tim Minchin is basically atheist Tumblr with Guy Liner. They're completely the same otherwise. Big fan of both. Just throwing that out there. And lastly, okay, we're going to wrap this up on a random thought. We actually have a shortage of momentum in the universe, and that's the reason that Isaac Newton tells us we need to conserve it. So be careful with your momentum. First law of physics. Thank you all. YouTube.com/CoolCatCinema. Bye.